That's a hard question. And welcome. This is probably part one of the Ask Me Anything. So a little bit ago on Instagram and here on YouTube, I asked if anybody had any questions for me and that I would make a video answering them. And there was a lot of questions, thank you. And I felt that it was important to organize them by topic. So I have kind of three categories. There's the journaling, stationery, writing related questions. There is the general lifestyle questions. This has to do with pets and hiking and random things that just weren't in the journaling category. And then the third one has something to do with ball jointed dolls, BJDs, which is a community that I was a part of. And there's a lot of people here that, thank you, are from there and they follow me here. So I want to make sure to get those questions done, taken care of, answered as well. So now I'm looking at my computer. Of course, it's wanting to do all these updates. I have a computer now. This is a new thing. Kind of weird. We're just gonna go with it. I'm gonna start with the journaling, stationery, writing group. I've watched your favorite moving into a van inks video so many times that I'm curious to know if you have a moving into a van pens list too. Great question. I think if I were moving into a van, the pens that I would take with me are the Kaweco Brass Sport, my Pilot Custom 823, and my Uniball Jetstream multi-pen, which is just a roller ball. Are there any pens and inks that you return to using time and time again? And if there are, which ones are they? Well, the Kaweco Brass Sport and the Pilot Custom 823 are definitely the pens that I go back to a lot. There's a whole variety of vintage pens that I like to revisit as well when the mood suits me. But as far as like a go-to pen, those are definitely the ones. As far as inks go, probably Diamine, Prussian Blue, Diamine, Ancient Copper, Kaino Odo Stone Road of Guyon, and maybe Diamine Oxblood. Have you ever cut your own quill pens or made your own inks? I have cut my own quill pens. I have cut quill pens out of turkey feathers. I've read that turkey feathers and goose feathers are ideal for quill making because of the shaft structure or something. And it's actually a lot more tricky than one might think. I have made several, although none of them have been any good. So it is a skill I have yet to refine. They would write, but just not very good. I think it definitely requires a certain finesse. I have not made my own inks yet though, although it is something that I have considered doing. Since you have kept journals for quite some time, I was wondering if you face problems with inks fading, and if there are inks that are better than others in this aspect. I've never worried about it, and I've never experienced it. Although the oldest journals I have that would be written with fountain pens are from 2016, 2017. That's when I started using fountain pens. And those have, not to my knowledge, I haven't revisited them in a while, but they don't seem to be fading at all. But maybe it takes much longer, maybe decades, I don't know. They also are stored in a box right now, so it's not like they're exposed to the elements. I do know of people that are concerned about that, and some people really like the Diatramentis document inks. Those are permanent inks. They're supposed to not fade. They're supposed to be made for the long haul. So, do you ever practice writing drills, formal writing drills? Has your writing style changed over the years? It's definitely changed over the years. When I was in middle school, I remember really wanting to create an identity with my penmanship, and I spent a lot of time picking and choosing different letters, styles, and fonts that I liked, and trying to make it like a natural part of my own writing. I have done some formal writing drills just for the fun of it, but never consistently. And then again, I've said this so many times, but using fountain pens definitely changed my writing style for sure. Just kind of refined it big time. How do you structure your day and take time for journaling? What do you do when you feel uninspired to journal? So my habit has been to journal first thing in the morning. I wake up, I make my coffee, and I just start writing. When I'm feeling uninspired, maybe I will not write. Maybe I will collage instead, or put some stickers in there, or print out some pictures. Or just be okay with, you know, today's entry is just gonna be a paragraph and it will be my observations. Like, I woke up at 6:15 a.m. The temperature is blah, blah, blah. It's sunny outside, just to keep the habit going. Where did we go? Oh, which fountain pens would you recommend for people who have never used any before? What are some of your favorite journals? So which fountain pens? Oh, this is such a hard question to answer because really it's so subjective. I mean, TWSBI Ecos always come to mind because they're really consistent and really reliable, and they hold a ton of ink, and they're easy to get a hold of, and they don't break the bank. They come in a lot of different colors. I would also say that Pilot Preras are, well, no, actually, I've read that they are really inconsistent. I have been lucky with the one I have. It's been really good. It's been one of the best writers I've had. And that's a very inexpensive fountain pen. But like I said before, I've been told they're inconsistent. And the one thing I do like about the TWSBIs is that they are really consistent. And then they also asked, what are some of my favorite journals? Definitely the Leuchtturm hardcover journals, lined rule, what is it? Ruled? Lined paper. I also really like grid paper. So Stalogy makes a grid paper, and Midori also makes one. But probably the journal I have used the most are the Leuchtturm journals. If you were given a chance to go back in time and pick up a specific fountain pen and typewriter, which one would you use? Or, it's a hard question. Oh man, what decade? Oh, there's just too many options. I don't even think I can answer that. I would be like a kid in a candy shop and I would just want all of the things. Yeah, I wish I could answer. I would just take it all. I don't even know what time period I would go back into. Maybe the 20s. That 20s and 30s tend to be where my favorite genre of fountain pens and typewriters seems to come from. Although I do like some of the typewriters that came out of the 50s as well, so that's just a hard question to answer. What do you like in your pens, inks, and papers? I like my pens to write well, for the ink to be inspiring, for the paper to have a little bit of texture but not too much, for the paper to be a little bit thicker than Tomoe River paper, but not like art paper. I like to just feel like the pen is an extension of my arm and I don't even think about it. It's just flows and moves across the paper with ease. So all kind of, I feel like it's a little more ambiguous, not like anything in truly specific. I just like to be inspired. Sometimes it can be a whole variety of different things. Okay, you're allowed to design your own fountain pen using current materials and technology, what would you make? I would make a pen that is a piston filler with a gold nib, 14 karat, ebonite feed, maybe a copper or silver exterior. That's just super simple. Something maybe with a little bit of texture potentially that would patina really beautifully with use. That also feels durable, that I don't have to worry about. Maybe it would have a little ring top so that I could carry it around on a lanyard. Although I've never had good experience doing that with pens. I used to do that when I was working as a teacher and they would often come unscrewed, or when I would sit on the floor with kids, it would poke me in my legs. Probably something small though, you know, pocket size. I don't know, I haven't really thought much about it. I've been, for the most part, so content with what is out there. For the most part. Maybe I would make a demonstrator. I don't know. What time of day hiking, lunch, dinner, camp setup, casual breaks, etc., is your favorite time for journaling? What is your favorite thing to journal about when you're traveling? There's never really a set time of day when hiking to journal. It's just when I have a moment. Again, my habit is in the mornings. So like if we're out camping, usually like in the morning with a cup of coffee, I try to journal. Although sometimes that doesn't really happen because there's just like this whole space to explore, and it's fun to go out early in the morning because sometimes you see things that you wouldn't during the day. Really just when I have a moment to sit down. Sometimes when I'm out on a hike by myself, I'll hike for a certain length of time and then I'll kind of take a little break and I'll do some journaling before I turn around again. And then what is your favorite thing to journal about when you're traveling? Honestly, my journaling doesn't really change all that much. It's just, I tend to do like stream of conscious journaling where I just, whatever comes to mind is what I put down on paper. And so it could be observations, it could be experiences about the traveling, or it just could be like the normal whatever is in my brain kind of thing. Have you ever cut a notebook to fit into a favorite cover? How did you do this if so? Yes, I have done that a couple of times with various different notebooks. I was happiest cutting down a Midori notebook into a standard size notebook to fit into a traveler's notebook cover. And that I did by measuring, drawing a little line, and then taking it to a FedEx store. And they have a proper paper cutter that could cut many layers, pages of paper all at once. And that's how I've been able to do it. Do you want your fountain pen so far? What is your favorite combo these days? Honestly, I have not been using fountain pens lately to write. I have been using my Uniball Jetstream multi-pen from Yoseka Stationery to write. It's just a roller ball with black, blue, and red ink. And that's what I've been using and really enjoying. And that's, so that's it, kind of a boring answer, I suppose. What do you write? I kind of already grazed over that. Basically, it's just whatever comes to mind. Sometimes it's lists, sometimes it's short stories. Very rarely, it's poetry. Mostly it's just stream of conscious. Is that the term? I think it is. What pens would you suggest if someone is on a budget? TWSBI Eco. Yeah, they're just great. They're consistent and well made, and yeah. Someone said, I really want to know why and others enjoy traveler's notebooks. I don't know. I think there has been so much of a like culture built around the traveler's notebook that the whole package is really appealing. Like the leather itself isn't the greatest quality and it's super simple. It's a piece of leather with an elastic strap and you put a notebook in it. And lots of people can make that, but I just think because they have a following, kind of a cult following in some ways, it just makes them kind of appealing to be a part of that community and explore all the options that come with it too. I'm wondering if you might be able to post some links for people who do pen repairs and nib tuning. I wish I could. It's so hard to find a nibsmith, honestly. The last person I had do nib work, basically I found through someone who had been listed on a Google search as a nibsmith, but they didn't work in that industry anymore, or they didn't do pen repairs and nib tuning. And so they referenced me to somebody else who then referenced me to somebody else. And it was this really long process over the course of several months to find somebody. And the last time I reached out to this person, I didn't hear anything back from them. So I don't know if they're doing it anymore either. It's really hard. So my only suggestion is just to like Google search it and reach out to as many people as you can, and hopefully they'll still be in the community well enough to be able to reference you to somebody else. Sorry, I just feel like that wasn't, I wish I could give more information. How did you get into the fountain pens in the first place? Was it an interest in writing, implements, and stationery? Definitely. As a young kid, I went to Colonial Williamsburg in 5th grade for a field trip. And I was given a little bit of money to buy a souvenir. And what I purchased was a writing set. It was a little box with a jar of ink, a nib holder and a couple of nibs, and a journal. And I was obsessed with it. I had always been kind of interested in writing. And I was like, I constantly was practicing or making up my own alphabets. And so that just seemed to be a natural evolution. Really obsessed with that. As an adult, I was thinking back on that little writing box and how much I loved it, and thought, you know what, I should get into those kinds of things again, because I was a avid journaler, and finding the right pen was always something really important to me and really hard to find. And so then I just started researching fountain pens, and it was a rabbit hole that I never quite came out of. What are your top 3 least favorite inks and most favorite? I've been disappointed with Mont Blanc. I love their bottles so much. They're gorgeous bottles, and the ink colors are beautiful, and they're great inks, but they're not that great that I can justify spending $50 on a bottle of ink. It seems ridiculous that you're definitely paying for, in my opinion, you're paying for the brand. And I find that there's plenty of other inks for much less that have more interesting characteristics and colors to me. I tend to really enjoy diamine inks. They have a whole variety of different types of inks, whether they're shading or sheening or glitter or just basic inks. They have a variety of colors. So they tend to be like a go-to. The Sailor Studio inks I've been kind of like meh about. There's some beautiful colors, but there's so many options that it gets kind of overwhelming for me to choose. And also a lot of the beautiful characteristics that these inks have can only really be experienced in a super, super broad nib or in an ink swatch. And that just kind of like, to me, since that's not what I do with my pens, I like to just write in my journal, I miss out on all those beautiful characteristics, so they kind of fall flat for me. I think that's it though. I can't really think of more than that. Are there any fountain pen purchases you regret buying or sold? I don't regret selling any fountain pens. I've definitely been disappointed with some pen purchases. I can't think of any off the top of my head. It's definitely, unfortunately, you don't know how a fountain pen is going to write until you have it in your hands, and that's really ultimately like the only way to know. You could read a lot of reviews and you can watch a lot of reviews, but it's really hard to figure out until you try it. All right, continuing on, I ran out of time yesterday and I might run out of time again today, we'll see. So how do you feel about the constantly new designs and colors of fountain pens coming out, limited editions, etc.? Any advice for getting caught up in the hype? Oof, that's really hard. I think Sailor is a good example. They have a new limited edition, it seems like every month. I don't know if that's true or not, but it just seems really frequent. And when they come out with a limited edition, it tends to be many of them all at once. And I find it really frustrating because it just feels impossible to keep up with. And it like continues to perpetuate this like idea of missing out, and this desire to just have them all, collect them all. I definitely got burned out. And when I first started in the hobby, I was super obsessed with like collecting all of them. And that wasn't financially possible at all. It just, there's too many limited editions. And so now my eyes just kind of glaze over and I don't really think about it much just because it just is overwhelming and there's a lot. Any advice for getting caught up? Oh, I already answered that question. Oh, so I guess I don't know if I have any advice. Just, yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating. Some of the limited editions can be found secondhand, but it's hard. And one is not always so lucky. Have you ever published any of your writings? No. Yes. But as a kid, like in high school and middle school, I had teachers that would submit some of my works, whether they were short stories or poems, and they were published in, I don't even know where, some kinds of magazines. I wish I had them. I don't. It would be cool. As a young person in school, my teachers sent a lot of my stuff out to like these things, and I don't even remember where they were. That was their way of supporting me, I guess. You wind up on a tropical island a la Castaway. Instead of FedEx boxes, the only items that you have to survive the crash are a single fountain pen and a single journal. Which ones are they? Well, what about ink? Is there a lot of ink, or is this going to be, I mean, because honestly, if I have like a TWSBI Eco, then I'll be able to write for a good amount of time. If it's a little Kaweco Sport with a cartridge, I'll have like a day. So I would much rather have a pen that can carry a ton of ink so that I could write for a fair amount of time. And then as far as the journals go, it would need to be something with a whole lot of pages. And I can't think of what that is. Maybe, I don't know, I've never tried the A5 Stalogy notebooks. I've only tried the B6, but if there's 366 pages or 365 pages, that seems like a lot, so maybe that. Do you have a secret sketchbook we don't know about? I wish. I honestly don't draw that much. It's very rare that I do, and Bean is scratching at the door, which is open, so I don't know what he's trying to accomplish right now. Anyways, I don't draw that much, and I always wish that I did. There's definitely a part of me that wants to be an artist, to be, to have like a portfolio and to get better and see my progress and learn new techniques, and I just never have done it. I'm obsessed with people that have beautiful sketchbooks that they're able to fill up. I think ultimately I prefer just keeping everything in one journal. I don't have the brain capacity to have multiple journals at once. So if I do get a wild hair and want to sketch, it'll most likely just be in my daily writing journal. How did you get such beautiful small handwriting? Thank you. I don't know. It just is a lot of writing. I've written a lot. I've always written a lot. I like writing. I love handwriting. I've always been interested in people's penmanship. It's one of the first things I notice about somebody if I have the opportunity to see their penmanship. It's just always been something that's intrigued me, and I think that's helpful. What was your first fountain pen? Best beginner fountain pen, and what is your wish list of supplies, fountain pens, home decor? Well, let's see. The first fountain pen I had was a Muji, just an aluminum body fountain pen, and that lasted for many years. I wrote with that and was completely content until one day I was like, I kind of want to get a vintage fountain pen, and then my life was over because I became a fountain pen collector. Best beginner fountain pen, probably, I'll just say the TWSBI Eco. That's what I keep saying. What is on your wish list of supplies, fountain pens, home decor? Honestly, nothing in particular. It changes all the time. It just depends on my mood and what I'm inspired by. Always kind of looking. I like looking at antiques, and I have a whole list of things I would love to have in my home, but I just don't have the space for it or the need. Like, we already have a couch. Are there antique couches I would love? Yes, but that's just not gonna happen. How old were you when you first got your first fountain pen? I think in my 30s. Or maybe I was like 28 or 29. I don't know. What's your 5 requisites you consider before buying a fountain pen? I enjoy a particular size. I don't like ones that are too big and too small. It's kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It has to be just right. I prefer something that can carry a lot of ink. So preferably something with a piston filler. I prefer a gold nib. Those are pretty much, everything else is like more emotionally driven. Like, ooh, this is pretty. I like the color kind of thing. What is your favorite color of ink to use in a fountain pen? Probably like a gray blue. Yeah, gray blue. How much journaling do you do? Do you find a positive effect on your mental health as a result? I journal every day, sometimes more than others. Definitely have the habit to do it in the morning, but again, like that could be pages or a paragraph. Generally, I find it to be really positive for my mental health. It helps me to calm down and sometimes just relax and check out a little bit. Sometimes it helps me sort through things. Sometimes I find that it can be a bad thing if I dwell on a problem for too long and then there isn't a solution, and then I get totally absorbed and wrapped up in it, and it's hard to let that go. But most of the time, I think it's really positive. What journal are you in now? Oh, I need to grab it. This is my current journal. It is a Leuchtturm A5, one that I had already started like last year maybe, but only had written a couple pages in it. And so I ended up cutting out those pages and just starting fresh. In this journal, I'm mostly just been writing. However, there are times in which I only write like a page. And so on the blank page behind, I've been doing a little collage. And so that's kind of fun. Sometimes the collages are really simple. Most of the time they are, I would say. I also have a couple of tabs, things that I'm going back to a lot and keeping track of. So this has been my reading list for the year. And every time I start a new book, I add it to the list. And I have a little pen loop in the back. And these little dots were not intentional. They bled through another project that I was working on. I was using this as like a surface. So that's my journal. I'm about halfway through. And I started this is volume 59. And I started this, or restarted it, April 7th of this year. All right, where are we? What fountain pen are you using right now in this moment? No fountain pens. So once again, here's the pen that I have been kind of obsessed with. This is the Uni Jetstream multi-pen that I got off of Yoseka Stationery. It has a black, it has a blue, and it has a red. And I just love it. I like the grip. I think because I've written with fountain pens for so long, having a thicker pen, it really appeals to me. It feels very comfortable in my hand. And the variety of colors is nice too. How do you incorporate journaling into your everyday life? What does your typical day look like in terms of journaling? So like I've already said, it's definitely a habit to just write first thing in the morning with my cup of coffee. And then I always have a journal with me, no matter where I am in the world. And my purses definitely reflect what size journal I am writing in. If I'm writing in a very small journal, I tend to have a small purse. If I'm writing in a big journal, I have a bigger purse to accommodate. But I just take it everywhere. And anytime I have a free moment, whether I'm waiting for a friend to arrive at a coffee shop or I'm waiting in a doctor's office or whatever, I can take out my journal and do a little bit of writing instead of looking at my phone. And I think that's helpful to form the habit. What made you really like journaling? Why did you start journaling? And do you use journaling more for writing and just to write, or more for the creative side to just have something to create? I don't know what made me really like journaling other than it was something my mom always encouraged. So I guess that's the answer. My mom always encouraged it when I was young. Why did I start journaling? Because I think my mom, bless me, always encouraged it. And I definitely use journaling more for writing, just to write than to be creative, although it also can be that too, a creative outlet. I'm curious to know how you feel about the Pilot Vanishing Point, capless Decimo. Have you ever had it? Have you ever tried it? What are your thoughts on it? What retractable fountain pens do you favor, if any at all? I have tried the Pilot Vanishing Point and the Decimo. And while I'm a big fan of Pilot, and I think it's well made, I think I kind of alluded to this already. I like a thicker pen, and so it's just too thin for me to really enjoy it. And also the nibs are great, but I don't know, it just never really appealed to me. So I think it's a good pen. I don't like the converter that comes with it though. That's my least favorite converter of the Pilot pens. Or just my least favorite converter, period. Although Kaweco makes a terrible one too. What's your current favorite pen, ink, and paper combo? Really, this Leuchtturm A5 journal lined with a uni ball multi-pen. What's your current, bonus. If you had to choose at this moment one combination for the rest of time, which would it be? Diamine Prussian Blue with the Pilot Custom 823 fine nib. Although I would seriously consider a TWSBI vac filler or piston filler, TWSBI, whatever they're called, like the 580s, or I don't know what they're called, or the mini ones, the mini vac. TWSBI mini vac I would be tempted to say that. Do you still keep some kind of planner? I do, in fact. And it is this. This is a Hobonichi Weeks 2022 with the adorable tiger print on it. And I don't use this creatively in any way. It is literally just a place to keep track of what I've got going on at any given time. How do you avoid the inner critic and let go and just write? I was pretty lucky to do that a long time ago because I feel so compelled to write that if I cared about what I was writing, I would never write. And I'd be robbing myself of something that brings me a lot of joy. And so I just, long time ago, decided it doesn't matter what I write, how I write, who I'm writing to. I just want to write because it feels really good. And that's all that matters to me. Do you have one specific journal that is your favorite or holds significance for you? I don't think so. They all are kind of special in their own little way. There's certain periods in my life in which I was journaling a lot more, or really inspired, and like that whole group of journals really appeals to me. But yeah, nothing in particular. You hold the pen as if the nib is pointing from the bottom right to upper left, okay? Is there any reasoning? How do you feel about holding the pen parallel to the paper? I'm assuming like they were parallel like this, or what I do is this. I do it this way because that just, like, my wrist kind of leads the way. This is the direction that I'm writing. If I write parallel, then I feel like I'm really stuck on, it's hard to move. And like the point of cursive is to like be able to flow quickly across the page. And that just feels too constrained, I think. Do you draw or paint in your journals? Sometimes, but very rarely. How many journals do you write with every day, and when did you start? I only have the one journal. I tried the Hobonichi 5-year, but to be honest, I have kind of neglected that lately. I might pick it up again, but I can only work with one journal, really. It's hard for me to divide up my brain into multiple journals. And that's it. That's the end of the journaling. So I think I'm definitely going to stop there because I'm tired and this video is long enough. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, in which I will talk about lifestyle or answer lifestyle questions. Bye.